Oh, there we go. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, you
It is.
too. It doesn't feel like it's been so long, but
Yeah.
the time has been flying by.
Well, the whole purpose of this is to find people that have done well in spite of regular old challenges and have
Yeah,
resources for people who are home, whether they come to the bridge or not, just to give people hope that might be
yeah.
dealing with life in a similar situation. So again, super appreciative. I know you've kind of had your battles, but I also know that you've been very successful in kind of fighting through that stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Not just for having me here, but for everything. So really, really happy
Well,
to be here and connect with you.
a pleasure. I'm a good cheerleader, even though I would look awful in uniform. I'm still a dang. So I'll just let's just talk. So tell
Yeah,
me, I mean, you're a handsome guy, you're successful, you're
I
cruising
appreciate
along. Like what happened to get you into that space where you started to flounder to the point where you're like, something's off enough where I'm gonna need some help with this. Like at what point did you realize that you just weren't gonna be able to bootstrap yourself up out of this, out of that darkness?
it. I think when I was at the bridge, I would hear a lot of people have these stories, and it felt like they had like this thing, like this event that they could point to and say, this happened, and I really need to work on this. I don't feel like I had that thing. I think I was kind of ignorant to how I was feeling. I thought how I felt was super normal. Um, and it wasn't. And I think you just reach a point where your mind and your body say, like, enough is enough. And that's where I got to. And I learned that the more like you run from how you're feeling,
Right.
it's going to catch up to you. So it's better to face it all head on. And for me, depression and suicidal ideation, it was so casual for me. I, I, I guess I compare it to the way certain people are driving down the road and think about like, what am I going to have for lunch? I would think, if my life doesn't pan out the way I want it to by a certain point, like I don't have to do this. Um, and it wasn't until I opened up to my family and friends about it that they were like, no, I've never thought that
Yeah.
before.
They're
And
like,
like,
that's dark enough that you ought to pay attention.
yeah. And I was like, oh. And then it got to a point where the thoughts weren't, if a day comes, I don't want to or can't do this anymore, I don't have to I don't think I can or want to do this anymore. And I'm super fortunate I have the support system that I do, but it just got to a point where I needed real help, professional help. And I wasn't proud that I needed it, but now I'm so proud that I got it. So my perspective on it has totally done a 180.
Yeah, as a guy, I mean, there's all kinds of buzzwords that I get worried about in this day and age, but I'm gonna still say it. Like, I mean, as a guy, to admit that you're in that mental space, to me, used to feel like I'm weak, I can't do it. There's all kinds of stigmas around kind of reaching out saying, I'm really sad, help me, and I
Yeah,
didn't grow up that way. Like I didn't grow up with even the option
no,
to think that way. But
yeah,
I mean, it also almost killed me. So it's really it's humbling and super encouraging to have you say, I got to this point where my future and my mind and my life mattered more than my ego. Like I reached this point where I no longer cared as much about what people might have thought of me as I did about getting better. And I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Like that's pretty stinking cool. Is that accurate? I shouldn't
yeah.
put words in your mouth. Is that accurate?
No, it's true. I used to get really angry if someone was like, "Hey, you should talk to someone." I'm like, "What? Think something's wrong with me?
About
I'll,
what?
I'll show you
Talk
nothing's wrong with me."
Yeah.
Yeah, like, um, and I have a great family. I have so much love and support, but I don't come from a background where you talk about those things. I come from more of a okay, just get over it, or like,
Right.
when I first started talking to my family, I had somebody like, "Oh, like so you get the blues sometimes." Like, no, I don't. I don't get the blues. um,
Yeah.
so
Blues
there's a
don't
lot of
make
like,
me want to step into an abyss. Like that's not the blues.
right, yeah, and and I guess the cool thing was, as I learned, I got to help teach the people I love around me, and those relationships got better. But I did have a real moment where I started talking to my family about things, and I always had in the back of my mind a plan because again, thoughts were so casual to me that like most people, if they can't sleep, they're scrolling TikTok or whatever. I would just Google stuff like, what's the most efficient way to commit suicide? And
Wow.
not even
Yeah.
because I wasn't even making a plan. It was more, well, if I need a plan, I'm prepared, which I
Wow.
learned was not normal, which should be, I guess, obvious. But when you're in that space, you don't think that that's not weird.
Yeah. And I don't know that there's a normal. I think it's just the way that you are processing. And I think me or you or anyone else, any other human on the earth, when you start processing things like it might be easier if the whole thing just ended. Like, I don't want a part in this play anymore. Like, I want to walk off the stage and I don't really care where, if I go into nothingness, so be it. Like, but I'm done. I'm done kind of messing around in this, on
Yeah.
this earth. But so you bump into that space, friends and family say, "Hey, man, you ought to go talk to somebody, get some help." Um, was that exciting? Was it discouraging?
No.
Yeah.
No. It was humbling, no doubt. I was really lucky. I had someone in my life who, you know, really stepped up for me in a major way and just kind of said, if you go, I'll go.
Wow.
And okay, and we'll do that together. And
Wow.
that was one of the biggest forms of like actual love I had ever experienced. And for someone like me who kind of struggles to receive and actually like feel those things, um, that was everything. And I think the lesson I learned is, for me, the way I look at it is you climb like this mountain of trying to get back to a good place and kind of fall back down. You get up, and after a while, you don't really want to start climbing again. It's hard. It's really exhausting,
Yeah.
and everyone just tells you, "Hey, get up! Like, come on." And I realize that sometimes it's just about having someone who will like sit there at the bottom of the mountain and go, "I'll sit here with you," but like it's going to be time to get up and we're going to do it together. But having someone to just sit there and say, we don't need to get up right now. I'm going to sit here with you. Um, Man, that's everything.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really, really cool. And that also shows the power of connection in humans and the impact that
Yeah.
we can have on each other. I had some people that probably saved my life, and it wasn't through jamming me or pills or therapy. It was just exactly what you said, just being there, just like sitting quietly by me saying, "No, I care about you enough. I'll just sit here with you," and it's just super profound.
Yeah.
So I remember you guys. You came into the bridge and a little bit salty in the beginning, a little bit, and but it's
Yeah.
perfect because you're in there saying, "Look, don't mess with me. Like, I
Right.
need help, but I don't want to have my head shrunk. I don't want cheesy like mantras. I don't want anything surfacey or fluffy. Like, either we're going to get through this and it's going to be legit, or I'm really not that interested." And I remember that about you. You're just very direct. Like, look, man,
Yeah.
like, I'm not here to play patty cake, and I'm not interested in anything that looks like I'm playing patty cake.
Yeah.
So,
No.
but I love that. I love that kind of that vinegar that you came with. But how did that help in your recovery to just be yourself and just kind of be able to hack through that?
Um, going in there, I think I had this idea of like what was supposed to happen in there. Like I'm going to go, it's going to be 3 weeks. And when I come out, I'm healed. And, you
Ta-da!
know, yeah, amazing. Um, and it's not that simple. But I think for me anyways, and a lot of the guys that were there, we felt like this like ticking clock of every
Yeah,
day that went by. Okay, I'm not better. And I'm one day closer to this being over. And if I'm not better, then like, what am I supposed to do?
yeah.
I think the best thing that I did was I had one of the sessions with, I think it was with Mandy.
Mm.
And Mandy does, I don't know the name of the technique, but you do like a lot of tapping while you're
Yes.
talking
Yeah,
to her.
yeah.
And I wasn't having a great day. And I said to her, I sat there, I said, can I just be like totally honest? Because I think to that point in therapy, I was almost playing a character of sorts. Like I
Yeah.
have to play the role of
Oh,
someone in therapy and like talk like I'm in therapy instead of just letting it rip.
right.
And with her, I said, can I just say whatever I want in here? I was like, and you promise you're going to call Dr. Brooks and that we have an actual dangerous psychopath here? And she was like, go for it. And poor Mandy, I love her to death for this. I don't think she said a word for an
No.
hour. And
Yeah.
I laugh about it now because I'm doing the tapping, but I'm mother effing the
Yeah.
world this whole time and talking about like F this person and when I want to knock this person out. I,
Right.
so I did look like a psycho.
Yeah.
Um, but afterwards I was like, are you gonna tell Dr. Brooks that like this guy needs to be like in a Hannibal Lecter mask? Or and she was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. I can really work through the things. I don't have to put prefaces of like, I know this is wrong, but like I can say this is just it for me.
Right. Right.
And that's when it started to work because I put on my own walls or my ego of a guy being in therapy or anything down and just, man, I let it rip. And
I love
it
it.
worked.
I love it. And we don't talk about this enough, but we mentioned this in your session where I said, we've known for 100 years that the body is a lie detector and it
Mm-hmm.
physically reacts to things that aren't true, especially expressions that we make, whether it's verbal or nonverbal or subconscious. When we live in a way that we deep down know isn't really authentic, the body reacts and eventually it'll become diseased. Like eventually it'll just start getting sick. But a session like that, whether however you thought it might have looked to Mandy or me or anybody else, that's so
Yeah.
authentic. Like it's so authentic, right? And it's as honest as you can be. And that actually is the start of you integrating in with your system, irregardless of the language or whatever. It's when you just get dead straight honest and your body can feel it. It can, and other people
Yeah.
can feel. She could feel it. Like your loved ones, even from a distance, could feel you like starting to reconcile. So I'm really proud of you for being like, well, screw this. I'm gonna just go into this space full tilt, and whatever happens, happens. That's I mean that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, a lot of credit goes to you and the providers there. And also, the truth of the matter is, I felt like I had nothing to lose at that point. I never really admitted this to anyone, but going to the bridge for me was almost more, it's like 50-50 of I really want this to work, and almost part of I need to check this box.
Oh
Because
yeah,
if something does happen to me, I don't want people to be mad. So if I do this, no one can say that I didn't try everything. So I really felt like I had nothing to lose. And that session really shifted a lot of things. And there's some really pivotal moments that I had at the bridge that I can point to and say that like flip that switch. I figured out a lot about me and how I work, and it changed everything.
that's so cool. And as you get authentic, like and you did, and as you kind of hacked through the program in your own way and took the swings that you needed to take, as you started to recover, like from a staffing standpoint, we could tell that you were really moving. Like you were changing like day to day to day. That persona, that identity that you came in with was really being left behind by this new person. And just a couple days into that, probably a couple days after that experience with Mandy, you literally were just almost better. Like your demeanor, your energy, the way you commented, the way you thought, your knee jerk reactions, all of that was just better. So I think too, that's a great testament that it doesn't have to take 25 years of intense head shrinking. I mean, you can make some serious decisions and start moving and gain some results quick. Did that surprise you at all after all that you'd been through? Did it surprise you that if after only a couple days of just this dead straight bust your butt authenticity hard work that was producing that kind of a feeling? Did that? Yeah, I'll just listen.
Yeah. Um, yes and no. I think like a lot of things in life, for me, it took about 30 seconds to a minute of just courage to just be like, I'm just gonna say the thing. Um, I was really lucky that I had learned a lesson going into the bridge about people. If you give them a chance to surprise you, and in my case, anyways, a lot of people did, and it's a scary thing to do that, but to give people just a chance to like prove you wrong about what's in here, about what they're going to say and react. I had family and friends who I didn't think knew anything about feelings and kind of didn't. Started calling me like, "Hey man, how's your mental health?" I'm like, what did you just say to me?
Right. Right.
Um, it was amazing, and then yeah, I felt lighter. It was probably the first time in my life when people say like a weight off your shoulders. I actually knew what that meant. Where I
Mm,
was like, oh, I actually don't mind that I'm like getting out of bed. It wasn't hard to get out of bed, and it actually I had a day kind of towards the end where I guess I wasn't feeling it. And there was like some panic where I was like, oh, like we reset here.
yeah.
And then I just again was honest about it and had conversations and people were like, you're not reverting back to before. You're just tired, like you needed a nap and you're mentally kind of burnt out and you're human and that's okay. I was like,
Right.
oh. So those spiraling thoughts of, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm messing up this session. I mess everything up. I I just shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Those thoughts I learned kind of how to cut those off. Um, so yeah, it's a lot easier when you don't feel like that weight sitting up there for sure.
Yeah. Well, and you did that work. I mean, that doesn't come in a vacuum. That didn't come from 20 pills or a ceremony. I mean, that came from just
No,
digging and work, right? Like that's where that to me, that's where all the money is that insight and that effort. And then you start to feel the change and the weight lift. And you're like, man, who did that? And inevitably it's you. Like you did that. I didn't do that. The bridge didn't do that. You did that. I mean, again, the encouragement and the cheering is great, but without that work on your side, you don't get to enjoy any of that stuff. So, I mean, kudos to you. Like that's your
thank
effort.
you.
No, it's
Yeah,
just it's the truth.
the
So,
the work
getting
is hard for sure.
it is. So you hammer through the program, you leave, you're kind of nervous, you get home. I'm sure you've had some challenges. So how is it trying to integrate, take all of this knowledge, this suitcase full of lectures and appointments and experiences, and you're kind of back in, unpack, and you're out living your life. How's that been? I mean, I know it's not easy or perfect, but how's it been?
Um, Up and down, to be honest with you, and I think part of that is you reevaluate a lot of things once you're back.
Yeah.
Um, this is not apples to apples in any way, but people who go and work on things for like addiction and things like that, when they come home, they have to kind of change the people around them because they probably have some
Yes.
unhealthy relationships.
Right.
I think I underestimated the similarities there. Where coming out, I'm like, oh, the way this person just kind of goes about life, it kind of negative and it doesn't feel good anymore. Um, and that can be tough. But one of the things I learned is you can kind of look at your life as like this concert, and not everyone gets to go. But even the people who are in there, not everyone needs to be backstage with you. You can have people in different sections with different levels of access, and that's okay. It's not black and white. And I used to think it was very black and white.
I remember. I remember having
Yeah.
very rigid discussions with you about subject matter and watching you kind of step back and blend and really be able to astutely, reassess that stuff was also, pretty magical.
Yeah. Honestly, it was one of your lectures, the about deciding. Like I decide how I feel is probably one of the more impactful ones I had because now when I catch myself feeling something, I can step back and go, okay, I'm feeling anxious, depressed, I'm mad. Um, not perfect at this by any means, but I'm much better at it about saying, okay, I'm going to let myself feel this, but if I'm going to let myself feel it, we're going to feel it in healthy ways.
Right, right.
And then knowing that little deal with yourself of, but after we watch this movie because we're feeling depressed today, then it's time to get up and that's really made a world of difference for me to just feel more in control and like having my arms around how I feel has been the biggest change.
I love it. I love it. So if somebody's home, they're suffering, they're having those dark thoughts, they're nervous, they've tried a bunch of things. And again, bridge or not, what encouragement would you give them? What would you tell someone who was back in your shoes, months ago, kind of waffling and not really sure where to put your energy, what would you say?
Just make one more phone call.
Mm,
And that was something that was said to me. I had a night before I went to the bridge. This was probably like a year before I went, or two, um, where I was just done and had like my little plan in place. And I pulled into a hotel parking lot, and I was the just make one more phone call thing popped into my head, and I did. And my uncle answered, and there wasn't really much discussion. It was like, you're gonna get over to my house right now, and I'm gonna meet you there. And
nice.
we just talked. And I think there's so many more people who, even if they can't understand, they want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
think that's
agree.
the toughest part, is feeling like people don't understand. And you can find people who do, and you'd probably be surprised by how many people do. I have the benefit of all the guys I met at the bridge.
Mm,
We understand each other. We went through a lot of the same things, and we can relate to that. But if you don't have that, it's easier to find than you think, people who have had a hard time and can help you too, and you can help them.
yeah, you had a good group. I mean, that you had that whole room of the boys, man. You guys, that was awesome. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
we were super lucky to have each other, and we all kind of had the same mindset going in of like, I'm not talking to any of the people in
Yeah.
here.
Right. Right.
And it didn't take us long, those nights sitting around the island in the kitchen, not even watching TV, but just talking. And each person had a turn throughout the process to open up and rally around each other. And sometimes that was more therapeutic than some of the sessions.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I agree.
it was
I,
I,
I agree.
I think anyone who goes to the bridge should really put an emphasis on that bonding with the other people, whether they're in your house or a different one. Because even some of the girls, I still talk to some of the girls from the bridge, and it's great to just feel like you have that connection that's really special, because no one else is gonna understand exactly how it feels. So we've been there, so
Right.
it's like a little family, no doubt.
Love it. I love it. Well, I don't want to take too much of your evening, but I'm so appreciative. Thank you. And anyone that is kind of where you're at, that's what this is for. So if somebody says, but can I talk to somebody? Can I do, I said, look, there's all kinds of regulations about that, but I can send you this, this call that I had with a successful guest. And I'm thrilled that you would do it. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Other
absolutely.
people that are in that spot are going to use you as inspiration, and thanks for doing that. I mean, that's a fun full
No,
circle too. You start off, you know, dark and help me, and then you end up in this place where how can I help? It's just it's amazing.
no, I appreciate it. And it's yeah, that's just my biggest message, is just take 30 seconds of courage to reach out to someone and be like, hey, I'm not doing okay. And they
Yeah.
might not have the answers, but anyone can just sit there with you for a little bit until
Yeah.
you figure out what the next step is. So make the extra phone call, give people a chance to surprise you. It's so cliche, but like, it really does get better. You have to work, and the work seems scary, but it's so doable and it's so rewarding. So thank you and everyone at the bridge for everything. I'm hoping I can get back out there just to visit sometime
Yeah.
soon. And yeah, it's a special place, man. So thank you for everything that you and
It,
everyone there is doing.
it absolute pleasure and a privilege. But if you get out here, give me a heads up and I'll make you like help me in a lecture. Seriously.
I would love
Like
that. Yeah.
text me,
Well,
call me and say I'm coming out. And if we're in session, I'll just plan one of my sessions, my workshops around, and we'll get you in there and let you tell and talk and help encourage.
yeah,
And that'd be fun too.
I'd love it. I'd love it. We'll
Cool.
definitely do that.
All right, brother. Hey, let me know.
Cool. Thanks, Dr. Brooks. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. Have the rest of a great night out there.
You too. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
we'll see you. Take care. Bye.